Welcome to the program. Here at Men in Equestrian, we focus on behavioral training, which is a science based training. But before we really get started and start showing you how it affects the training of the horses that we bring into the program for the Safe Horse Initiative, I think it's important for you to understand the difference between behavioral training and traditional training. When it comes to traditional training, it's really about outcome. It's about getting a response. And a lot of times that is accomplished through increased pressure. It is accomplished through um, repetitive motions. It's accomplished by um, focusing on just the outcome. With behavioral training, it's a bit different. With behavioral training, what we're trying to do is create a response that is going to be the same response every single time. And the way that we do that is by changing a horse's mindset. Now, a lot of people are asking, how exactly do you change a horse's mindset? What would be the difference between the way that we approach training session versus the way that a traditional trainer would approach training session? And I think that the best way to describe it would be to give you an example. So if you have a horse that shies away from a particular corner, there are a lot of trainers and a lot of riders that will simply get that horse to get past it. We will ride them through it. We will employ additional pressure. Will maybe even get off and walk them in that corner and kind of make them face their fears. From a behavioral standpoint, what we look at is the causation. So, what is it about that particular corner or that area of the arena or the way that I, as a rider, am affecting my horse that is causing them to spook? So, the first thing is that if a horse is spooked once, a lot of times what happens is we embody that spook every time we go towards that corner. So they might have spooked once because something moved in the bush or the way that the shadows played or things of that nature. But because we know that that's going to happen and because we anticipate it happening, our entire body tenses, whether we are doing it in a way that we can identify right then, or whether it's subconscious. As we approach that corner, our body tends to stiffen. That stiffening alone can actually trigger the horse to become more and more afraid of that corner in the arena. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. With behavioral training, what we do is when we get a reaction, any reaction, whether it's a spook, whether it's a refusal to a jump, whether it's, um, you know, not wanting to load on a trailer, what we do is we take a minute and we step back and we assess the situation from the horse's point of view. And we try and identify the cause. And then, if we can take a moment to address that cause, it can make a difference in the way that the horse approaches that particular situation, that particular obstacle, that particular location moving forward. So it's a very prescriptive kind of approach to issues that horses are having. And if you skip the step where you evaluate everything that has surrounded that experience, then you're missing out. You might end up with a horse that complies, a horse that will get on a trailer even if they're scared, a horse that will power through that corner. But the problem is that that is submission. That is a horse going through the motions, doing things because they're being kind of instructed to do them rather than doing them willingly, rather than understanding how to manage their own emotions in a stressful situation, rather than taking pressure as guidance and moving forward because of that guidance, they are trying to avoid pressure. So that's kind of one of the fundamental differences in behavioral training, is that we try and make it so that a horse can manage themselves, and that they look to us for guidance more so than instruction.